This morning, my parents discovered the truth. My father's coffee cup struck the tile in what felt like slow motion, the ceramic shattering against the profound silence. My mother remained frozen in her robe, one hand clutching the envelope as though it might detonate. Perhaps a part of her already knew it had. I didn't smile. I just stood at the threshold, jacket zipped, keys in hand, allowing them to be overwhelmed by their own astonishment. This was the consequence of 6 months prior when they had labeled me heartless. "You're her brother." My mother's voice was sharp and trembled. "She requires your assistance. Family assists family." I didn't reply, but simply gazed at the carpet, forcing myself to remain impassive. My father's voice followed, angrier and more cutting. "How dare you decline to aid your sister? After all those years, we nourished you and clothed. You won't even lend her your savings for a new business." But it was no mere loan. It was a financial rescue for a fantasy she had not earned. It wasn't the first time they had asked me to sacrifice for her benefit, so I departed. I didn't yell or slam the door. I simply walked away and let the silence accomplish what shouting never could. They considered me selfish, cold, and unloving. They didn't know the full story. Not yet. I once idolized her. My sister was for years my senior, captivating and unreachable. When we were children, she told me monsters didn't reside under the bed. They lived behind closed doors with pleasant voices. She taught me how to deceive for her, cover for her, and adore her. She also imparted other lessons, like how to smile while demolishing someone, how to twist a secret until it breaks you, and how to take relentlessly until the other person forgets they ever possessed anything. I was 14 when she borrowed the college fund my grandmother left me, when she persuaded me to lie to the police about her DUI, and 20 when she used my name to lease an apartment and vanished without paying a single cent. But I forgave her time and again because that's what family does, isn't it? I didn't learn about him until I returned home early one weekend and saw his shoes by the door. Black leather, size 12, not mine. She claimed they belonged to a friend, then a coworker. When I pressed her, she just laughed. "It's not what you're thinking," she said, sliding her arms around my shoulders and pressing her perfume against my throat like a veiled threat. But it was exactly what I thought. My girlfriend, my apartment, my bed, and my sister. They never saw it. The way she clung to people until they were empty, the way she captivated them, consumed them, and then discarded what was left when she grew bored. They never noticed the new watch. She couldn't afford the cash. She kept hidden in books the subtle lie that always preceded a favor. But I did, and when I caught them, her and Mike, I didn't yell or weep. I simply observed, committed the scene to memory, and began to formulate a plan. She thought I had left town for work. I hadn't. I stayed quietly in the background. First, I retrieved every transaction from the bank account I had opened when I was 16, the one no one else knew about. Then I froze the joint account she had opened in my name. I filed a report for fraud and a police report. Next, I met Mike for lunch. I said nothing about what I knew, just smiled and listened and allowed him to tell me all the ways he never meant to hurt me. By the end of that lunch, I had his passwords, his email, and his laptop. He didn't even realize he had given them to me. From there, it was simple. I traced my sister's new business back to a shell company under Mike's name. I found the forged contracts, the investor scam, and the fake invoices. They weren't just being dishonest, they were laundering money. So I built the case quietly and without mercy. I provided the information to the appropriate individuals, sat back and waited. This morning, my parents received the envelope, not from me, but from the state. Inside was a formal notice. An investigation was pending, with possible charges for fraud, identity theft, and tax evasion. Attached was a spreadsheet I had prepared. Line by line, every dollar she stole, every account she touched, every signature she forged, including theirs. I walked in just as they finished reading. My mother whispered, You reported your own sister." "No," I said, my voice calm and deliberate. "I let her report herself. I just provided the world with a translator." They looked at me as if they didn't know me. Perhaps they never did, but they finally knew her. The truth is, I didn't do it for revenge. Not exactly. I did it because I wanted it to end. The lies, the bleeding, the way she left a trail of destruction in her wake, and smiled as if she had done you a favor. And I wanted them to see it, to finally see me not as the one who fixes things, the scapegoat, or the reserve wallet, but as someone who doesn't quietly burn anymore. She faced court now, and maybe even prison. Mike already left her, took the money and fled. Typical, and me. I moved my money into a trust and began a new chapter, quietly successful. I don't need their apology or hers. I just needed them to look at the remains and understand I didn't walk away to protect my finances. I walked away to protect what little was left of me. Now it's your turn. What's the biggest takeaway from this story? Let me know below.